Marriage is a legally binding contract. These men are not proposing to y'all because of love. They are proposing to y'all and marrying y'all because you provide good services and will be a good fit to take care of them and their needs for the rest of their life.
Hello guys, welcome to the vlog. My name is Apollonia. In today's video we're talking about this thing called marriage, yeah. And of recent years, I think women are waking up to the fact that this could be a scam, or this could be not to favor women. Marriage was not created to favor women, and most women are just digging in. What is this? Did we fall for a scam or something like that? Because sometimes it doesn't make sense, and women are asking questions. They don't want to be in this thing called marriage. And when women don't want to be in something, they ask questions, because most of women just want to get to the bottom of things. Yeah, why is it not working or something like that? So today we're going to listen to ladies talking about marriage, and explaining further, or explaining deeper what marriage actually is. And I hope you're going to learn something today. So please, let's watch some of the videos here.
Marriage is a legally binding contract. These men are not proposing to y'all because of love. They are proposing to y'all and marrying y'all because you provide good services and will be a good fit to take care of them and their needs for the rest of their life. Not your life, his life, because his expectation is that you are going to be the wife appliance. You will cook, clean, make babies, have sex on demand, and work a full-time job. And if you don't work a full-time job and still do all of those things, he's going to tell you that you're useless and don't contribute anything. Cough, financial abuse. When a man gives you a ring, it's because he wants ownership over you and your labor, not because he loves you. I know plenty of women with rings on their ring finger whose husbands hate them and treat them like dirt. Whose husbands wouldn't even pee on them if they were on fire in the desert. Whose husbands have made them go 50-50, aka 95-5. Or 80-20 if you're lucky with the man in your life. And then he will use the money that he's not spending on you and your household on outside women. Baby, when I attended bar and when I was a server and when I had front-facing jobs to the public, somebody's husband was always trying to give me money and their magic stick. The same ring that a man puts on your finger, he will shove down your throat.
Freedom. I'm all about freedom, and marriage takes all of it away. And if you want to be, I look at marriage as slavery. I don't believe in living. I don't believe in living for other people. I believe in happiness, and you can start a business with a partner. You don't have to get married and tie your life to them. So with you, I agree with you. If you were to live with a companion or have a life partner, I'm in total agreement not to get the government involved, because once you outgrow somebody, you should be able to break free and go your separate ways. Why do you have to go through hoops and hurdles to break away from somebody? Because that's slavery. Shackle and chains, that's slavery. So marriage, I'm totally
So she mentioned something like overgrowing somebody, yeah. And this is something that most people don't talk about, yeah. So most of the time, like for example, when you meet when you're very young, yeah, let's say like a woman is 24, 25, it doesn't matter, men, but if a woman is 24, by the time she's 30, she is not the same woman. And some women overgrow their men, like they're not in the same level like where you found them, yeah. And that's why you hear most women saying, oh, she changed, she's not the woman I married to. Yes, because women change to the environment very quickly, unlike men can actually stay in the same position where you found them in 24, they're still 24 at 50, yeah. So majority of men do that, yeah. But women, I would say pretty much all women, especially if they give birth, they have children, they change very quickly, because we have to change to fit our children's needs or to adapt to what changes we have, yeah. So for women to change is very easily, yeah. And most marriages are being broken because women are not in the same level where you found them, and they've changed, they're moved on, probably they're grown up. Probably the woman that you are partying with, you're going to club with at 30, she doesn't want to go to club. She's not talking about going to club or drinking. She's talking about maybe buying a land or buying a home or something like that. And most relationships go through this hardship of, of outgrowing each other, yeah. And it's not talked a lot. And I think that's what this lady was talking about. Like when somebody outgrows the other one, I think it should be sensible for them to live with no problem. Because when you say like this marriage is forever, it means that you have to diminish yourself in this marriage for forever. If you want to advance maybe financially or something like that, or even lifestyle, if you want a better lifestyle than what you used to, it means that if the other partner does not want or cannot afford, then you have to remain to their level or something like that. So I feel like in a way marriage is not it. Marriage does not make sense on a serious note. It kind of ties you. It does not give you freedom to move or even freedom to grow, freedom to change. So I feel like that is also a very big problem in marriage. Yeah? What do you think, guys? Comment down below. And let's discuss this issue, yeah? And let's continue watching.
If you study the patriarchy, it even says that love is a business for men. I don't know how women got tricked into believing this stuff was about romance. This is the whole purpose of why I make my videos. This lesson here isn't about women finding men for romance. If you fuck up romance, you make the worst financial decision. Also mess up your career because plenty of men will throw obstacles your way once they're in position to take up space in your life. I work with professional women and entrepreneurs. So why talk about the patriarchy? Because all that education that you got, years and years in university, master's degree, PhD, none of that taught you how to navigate the actual world. You learn to be smart, you learn to be technically competent, but again, the world runs on capitalism, patriarchy, and racism. When women don't understand patriarchy, they are clueless and naive, not just in their personal life, but in the workplace too. You think just because the world shouldn't be this way, or because you think that it should only be about who's good at the work, you expect to have certain types of fair treatment. That's not true. By default, you are oppressed because women were the first enslaved people. For thousands of years, women were commodities to be traded and bought. There were vessels for reproduction, so patriarchy can create cascading wealth. Now let's look at the modern times. Women have financial power, but how do we continue to keep them in an oppressed prey mindset? Sell them the idea of romance. She's gonna be chasing that, fuck herself over multiple times, make really huge errors in her life, which will prevent her from rising up in a capitalistic society. This is why we have few women at top. Lack of focus, and those women in their journey to success have given themselves away to some man or some ideology, or spent years and years trying to be the best pick me for some dude who used and discarded her. Becoming successful as a woman is very different from becoming successful as a man. First, you have to awaken to the system. Join my workshop, Power in Romance 2, Finding the One in Patriarchy.
Women don't need marriage, marriage needs women. For thousands of years, marriage has been the most efficient tool of patriarchy to make sure men always has resources, power, and control. Have you ever wondered why in almost every industry the majority of the leaders are men? Is it because men are naturally better, or is it because women have spent too much time and energy doing unpaid labor at home and raising kids? Because there was a study before tracked MBA graduates from Chicago University, the gender gap between men and women in earnings is small in early career, but increases substantially within time. 13 years later, men earn 38% more than their female counterpart. There was only one group of women didn't fall behind. Guess who are they? Women with no kids. That's why we always say behind every successful man is a woman, and behind every successful woman that has built her empire is herself. And let's not even mention the bonus men have simply by occupying the roles of father and husband. When people try to have sympathy for men, they always say, oh, he's a father, he's a husband, even though he could be a deadbeat father and very much absent from his family. This identity alone makes him seem more trustworthy and established in the eyes of society. And studies have shown that for every child a man has, his earnings tend to increase by about 6%. Meanwhile, for mothers, on the other hand, see their income drop by roughly 4% per child. For a woman that carries the baby for 9 months, sacrifice her body, her career, you got punished for being a mom. We live in a society that does not support moms. This is not saying marriage and having kids is bad, but you really need to think carefully how
it's such a powerful reflection working with a couple. If you're going to deconstruct religion, you need to deconstruct patriarchy, and you need to deconstruct marriage as well. I was taught that there was sanctity in marriage. I was taught that marriage was good. I was given a romanticized idea about marriage, but it really clicked for me today that marriage longevity and feminine oppression are correlated. Marriage has just had a good PR team. The PR around marriage is much like how car salesmen have been traditionally. You think you're getting a great deal, but it's a good deal because you just bought a jalopy and you didn't know it. I remember hearing someone say, well, people don't court anymore. People don't date anymore. Courting was a selling process. Courting was advertisement. Courting was what a man did within the tradition of marriage because he was going to get a dowry and a woman who would work for him for the rest of her life. He was trying to impress her family because he was going to get paid. We perceive courtship from a modern framework when at that time it did not exist in that way, that it was a very serious matter. It was a marriage market because they needed to sell her and they needed her to be presentable and winsome so that a young man would want her. It was a matter of survival. It wasn't a matter of romantics. I like this person and I think they're cute. And we have such a misunderstanding. Parents needed to sign off. They were a big part of the process because that was the tradition. And this is why even in modern days, people could be cut out of their family. People are rejected by their families because they choose partners that their families don't want. This is the tradition of marriage. Your parents had to sign off and he needed permission to own you. It's something that parents initiated. It's something that they established because the marriage that would be in formation would be a continuation of a previous tradition. And this is why people in traditional cultures to this day will tell young couples, especially, that your marriage is not for you. Your wedding, is not for you. It's your parents. And this is why parents have such a heavy hand in who shows up to the event, who participates. The concept of the father paying is grafted into, or the parents paying is grafted into the tradition of ownership. This is the tradition of marriage in our culture. Not love, not romance, not freely choosing your partner, but being grafted into a tradition due to necessity, due to survival, and not having options. Our whole concept of, as women today, as girls growing up, having options is new. Having a choice is new. Collaborating is new. We have been given a myriad of information in terms of in our cultural consciousness around relationships. We're given the Disney concept, which is a very old concept of love, where a woman is rescued by a man. Why is she rescued? Because she can't make a living on her own. I mean, like practically, he is rescuing and saving her because she can't make it on her own without him. That is not the reality today. This is what makes marriage a matter of equality and maintaining. And I'm on my phone right now. You're likely looking at this video from your phone. And if you have an iPhone, it needs to update. If you have a laptop, your Windows program needs an update. Marriage requires what long-term successful relationship looks like today, which it didn't even 30 and 40 and, well, maybe not 30 years ago. It didn't 50 years ago. It didn't involve equals. That in marriage vows to this day, some people are still saying in religious environments, obey. This was a requirement of the tradition because it required the subjugation of women to be as successful as it was. We have a romanticized vision of what the institution looked like. The oppression of women was built into the institution. It was understood that she was an object. There's even an order to the reason why a man is on a certain side of a woman, because it was considered a symbol of his protection, his covering over her. And the walking down the aisle and the transfer from the father to the husband was a transfer of ownership. That marriage didn't involve equals. It involved a guide and a subordinate, a leader and a follower. Today, women, and for the most part, are identifying themselves as leaders of their own lives. And in men's collective consciousness and awareness, for the most part, that hasn't evolved. That they're still seeing her as the little lady, the person that he needs to lead. This is still modern language that is being used in the context of relationships. This is a regurgitation, because yes, it is vomit. It's a regurgitation of an old idea that people have not awakened to an updated reality. And the updated reality is your grandmama had to get his agreement, his sign off for the procedures that she had, for the bank account if she had one. The ownership of property was likely in his name, education, job opportunities, and access. I mean, come on. To this day, there's still a huge wage gap between men and women. And when you're a woman of color, that gap gets even wider. So this is not a theoretical idea. This is a very practical reality. And this is very much still in our collective consciousness. I think this is what comes up for women when they get nervous around their looks and the man that they have in their lives liking them. Because the reason why this is a visceral fear, him wanting me, him being interested in me, is because if he got tired of me, I might not have my bills paid. I might not be able to survive. Me and my kids might be left in a lurch. And this is also at a time in history where people had children younger and had more children. So as a woman in this dependent situation, when you had kids, it was a wrap for you. It was a literal wrap for you. It was over. You weren't going nowhere. Because the likelihood of you surviving without this man would be even less. And to this day, women with children are the most impoverished groups in the country. This has always been a matter of practicality and survival, not love and choice and freedom. So if you are intending to have a long-term relationship under this current program, you want to think very seriously about marriage. You want to be intentional if you choose to have a marriage, a partnership, and no matter what the hell you call the institution, you want to be aware of how old models and old ideologies might be seeping their way into your current practice. Because relationships are not a static thing. They're organic, because as long as you're alive, you will be changing. That means your relationship will be changing, and it will need to change to stay up to date with who you are. You do not stop vetting. You do not stop updating. A successful relationship is updated on a regular basis. But this doesn't coincide with the tradition of marriage, which was stay together and die. It was a death sentence. It was not a place where people were practically evolving together. It was a place they stayed together and died together. Deconstructing patriarchy, deconstructing having the ability to partner with somebody who is conscious, who is aware, who actually knows what it is that they want and understands where their ideas come from. Because our grandparents' ideas and concepts of living a life were built upon a program. If you're trying to actually intentionally create your life and not just follow a program, you want to introduce so much more consciousness and reflection into what it is that you do, because what you're creating is something different. And the creation that is evolving is going beyond marriage, because marriage was a static thing, which is why so many people in it did not grow year after year.
I have noticed in our societies, it looks like most successful women are women without husbands. Most successful women out there are women without any committed relationship. Why is it so? If you know the answer, tell me. It looks like most women that are married are not as successful as women without husbands. Most women without committed relationship are really making money. What is happening?
Because marriage takes a toll on women. When you're married and you have children, you become the primary caregiver. You make the sacrifices. You make the career sacrifices. You make the emotional sacrifices. And that is the reason why women who are married, who have kids, do not have the same level of success as unmarried women. A married man with kids can get the opportunity to pursue a master's degree or a PhD program, and he will go ahead and pursue it with little interruption. A married woman who wants to pursue a master's and a PhD will have to consider her family, the age of her children, and the kind of resources and support available for her before she's able to make a decision. This is the reason why most married women dominate part-time work and seasonal work, because it is difficult for them to keep a permanent job that offers benefits, that measures productivity and efficiency. When you're a married woman and you have kids and something happens to your children in school, guess who they will call? You. Guess who will attend the parent-teacher association meeting? You. If your children are sick, guess who would have to take time off to go to the hospital to make sure the children are okay? It is the woman. And existing literature confirms this, that married women, they have a reduced income over time because they are not able to advance in their careers. And when I say that marriage is an oppressive institution for women, some African women come into the comments and say, oh, marriage is a beautiful thing. I'm not saying marriage is not a beautiful thing, and I'm not saying that do not get married. What I am saying is that understand the impact that marriage and motherhood will have on you as a woman. Marriage will take a toll, and motherhood will take a toll on your life and the opportunities you are able to take and how successful you become as a woman. And that is the fact, because children are tied to the hips of a woman. When you have an opportunity to advance in your career or get a higher education, you have to consider your family, the age of your children before you decide. But a man who is a husband can have the same opportunity for career growth and higher education, and he will leave his family to pursue that. In sociology, we call it the motherhood penalty. Women who choose to be married and become mothers are punished for it. Unfortunately, society does not even have systems to support mothers. There are certain jobs that as a woman, when you are given the opportunity, there is an additional clause that you cannot get pregnant. And on some jobs, when you get pregnant in the first few years, you will be let go. Society does not even have systems to compensate women for reproduction and contributing to the future labor market. If you're a woman, before you get married and you have children, make sure you are planning. Make sure you choose a man that will be able to compensate you for all the opportunities you will miss. My name is Dr. Zita. I am a sociologist, and I stand by what I always say. Marriage and motherhood is an oppressive institution for women.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope you guys learned something today. And I don't know if it was possible. I wish, like, in schools there would be a class specifically for this, because marriage is a huge institution. It should be a class like this in a school for debate, for discussions, so that most people know actually what they're getting into. Anyway, guys, I hope you learned something today. Please share this video to your friends, to your nieces, to your daughters, and everybody who you think can benefit from this information. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.